I was able to make more money in my business without the constant hustle, grind, and burnout. What rich women won't tell you is that it's not about how hard you work. No, that's the male handbook. If you want to be successful as a woman, your beauty is currency. You use your appearance to command attention, communicate your value without saying a word, and position yourself for success. Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about how I use pretty privilege to attract abundance and money in my business. The reality is it's not a fair playing field. Only 1 in 3 businesses are owned by women, and only 33% of women hold senior management and leadership roles. So I quickly realized that if I wanted to be successful, I had to start using a female handbook. Whether we like it or not, your looks matter as a woman, and especially if you're the face of your business, it influences the type of audience and clients you'll attract, the kind of opportunities you attract, the amount of money you make, and how successful your business will be. The first way I used pretty privilege to attract abundance and money was by owning my beauty. There was a time when I didn't think I was enough. I didn't think I was beautiful enough. I didn't think I was skinny enough. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I wanted to look like other women. I wanted to dress like other women. I wanted to speak like other women. I spent the majority of my 20s constantly chasing a particular look. I didn't have a true sense of self or identity. I would morph into whoever I was around, whoever I looked up to, whoever I was in a relationship and who they wanted me to be. It took me leaving a long-term relationship to figure out who I was, how I like to dress. It took me becoming a mother and my body changing for me to start to love myself, to accept myself as I was. Especially as a girl mom, I would constantly ask myself, am I a role model for my daughter? Would I want my daughter to feel the way I feel about myself? So there was a lot of isolation, there was a lot of therapy, there was a lot of self-discovery for me to love the woman who I was and to also identify the woman that I wanted to become. I started paying close attention to my features, what I loved about my face, what I loved about my body, what type of clothes looked good on my body type, what type of clothes made me feel more confident, what hairstyle I loved on myself, the type of makeup that I liked, and really listening to the compliments that I would receive from other people. And all of that amounted to my unique beauty, my brown skin, my smile, my dimples, my full lips, my piercing brown eyes, my curvaceous body. I started owning my beauty and understanding what set me apart from everybody else, what made me stand out, what made me beautiful, which enabled me to create a signature look and communicated the type of woman I was, my value, without me even saying a word. The next way I used pretty privilege to attract abundance and money was by removing the ethics of pretty privilege. When I started therapy, I was very specific that I wanted a black therapist because that's a huge part of my identity, and I didn't want to have to explain my experiences as a woman or as a black person or as a black woman in general. I just wanted somebody who would just get it. 9 times out of 10, people will get services from people who look like them or people who they can relate to, because people will buy from you because it's you, because of what you look like, how you carry yourself, and your story. The reality is people have unfair advantages in life, different privileges: male privilege, female privilege, white privilege, financial privilege, and pretty privilege. I looked around at the successful businesswomen that I looked up to, and I noticed that aside from their skills, knowledge, or experience, regardless of their ethnicity, body size, whether they were more refined or casual, they also had one thing in common: they made an effort to look good. I realized that beauty was a privilege that I could use to my advantage in my business. I always say that beauty is what money is for men: access. It grants you with open doors and opportunities, and once you're in the room, you can now showcase your skills, expertise, and knowledge. The next way I used pretty privilege to attract abundance and money was by being audacious. When I first started creating content and marketing for my business, business, I was like Switzerland. I didn't want to upset anybody and I didn't want to repel any potential clients. I would give a lot of disclaimers. I would give opposing views to arguments like I was writing a dissertation, and I wouldn't stand firm in my beliefs and values. And because people didn't know what I stood for, they didn't know what they could expect from me or trust that I could provide them with any kind of transformation. But in my personal life, I not only stood firm in my values and beliefs, people valued my opinion. And that's not to say they always agreed with me, but they always listened. The reality is beauty commands attention. You can get away with so much more as a beautiful woman. So I had the audacity to share my beliefs and values about faith and femininity, and people paid attention. A lot of women will shy away from being visible or with sharing their beliefs and values because they're worried about what other people will think about them. Pretty privilege will give you the confidence to not be lukewarm because people will listen when you speak. The next way I used pretty privilege to attract abundance and money was by dressing for the female gaze. I have a whole video about how to dress for the female gaze. I will link it somewhere there. When I had an IG baddie aesthetic, dressing for the male gaze in provocative and revealing pieces, I found myself stuck year after year, not making any money in my business. Because of my appearance, I was unknowingly attracting the wrong audience and clients. People didn't take me seriously, and I had to work 10 times as hard to make any money in my business. My disregard of my appearance and dressing for the male gaze led me to work harder, push harder, be stronger, do more, until I reinvented myself into a feminine woman dressing for the female gaze in modest, classy pieces. I began attracting the right type of audience and clients. Doors of opportunities opened up for me. My value was communicated without me even saying a word, and my success accelerated. Pretty privilege isn't just about your face, but it's your whole image and how you present yourself. You attract what you are. If you're not willing to invest in yourself and your looks, you're going to attract the type of clients who aren't willing to invest in themselves and therefore aren't willing to invest in your services. It's not just about talking about your values and beliefs, but in showing up as the woman who holds those values and beliefs. The next way I used pretty privilege to attract abundance and money was to allow myself to receive. The Bible says if you stay in position, he'll give you your possessions. I'm an immigrant and I'm originally from Zimbabwe. I was raised as a strong, independent woman. I grew up surrounded by poverty with people struggling, which led me to have immigrant hustle mentality. That not only did I have to work hard for me to become successful, but that I could only do things on my own and I didn't need any help. I would refuse help even when I was struggling, even when I really needed it. This trickled into my business where I learned and did everything on my own. People would offer me their services behind the scenes to become my virtual assistant, to help me with branding, marketing and sales. But I felt like I wanted to prove that I could do it on my own. As I was simultaneously on my femininity journey, I realized that just because I could do it on my own didn't mean that I had to. That you could be beautiful, you could present yourself well, people could offer you the help, but you will never see the fruits of your pretty privilege because you don't have the art of allowing. To be afforded the privilege, you have to be willing to receive. I had to allow myself the privilege of not having to work hard to accept help when it was offered, and that's when I started attracting more opportunities and making more money in my business. So that means I had to be in receiver mode and understand my position, not only as a woman, but a woman with pretty privilege. The message here is it's not about how hard you work. If you want to be successful as a woman, your beauty is your superpower that impacts the success in your life, and you have to lean into your pretty privilege. Like this video if you want to see more videos on femininity and abundance. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you're notified every single time that I upload a video, and I will see you in the next video. Mwah. Bye lovelies.